Hello folks, it's 3rd of April, not the 2nd as I said earlier. If you're listening, this podcast is almost like a celebration of a good friend of mine, Kevin from Carlton Road, who I worked with very closely, helped to set up educational social care courses throughout West Cumbria that were successful until we lost our funding through no fault of our own. Many people benefited from these courses, and Kevin and I became kind of blood brothers in relation to our belief in good social care. So I just wanted to mention on the blog about the importance of people like Kevin and the value that they bring to social care.
Yep.
Anyway, coming back to what I was saying before there, and my lovely friend Kevin gets put to rest today. It's his funeral. So I just wanted to highlight on this podcast how much he gave to the world of social care and the legacy that he leaves to many people, not just me, around the county, because he will be well remembered, and I hope there's a good turnout today. So I'm going to... Tracy only met Kevin a couple of times, didn't you?
Yeah, only a couple of times.
And that was up at Banklands.
Banklands once, and then Carlton Clinic a couple of times, just outside. We went for some bits and pieces, and he was outside.
Yeah, I think we Carlton Road. I think you mean Trade, don't you? Not Carlton Clinic. Carlton Clinic is the hospital for people.
Well, yeah, Carlton Road. I always thought he did a similar kind of thing. Does it not?
Well, I suppose you could probably liken Carlton Road to.
You could, yeah.
To Carlton Clinic on its good days. And not once did it faze Kevin. He was just so laid back, and he would come out and meet you and take you in for a cuppa, however busy he was, whilst he did his rollie, his little cigarette, and his long hair, his ponytail, his kind of traveller ponytail, because not many people know this, but due to stress, and I know because I mentioned to David earlier about it, I kind of nearly crashed in 2006, and I remember Kevin was really good at that time. We helped each other. He helped to phase me back in, and I supported him through it, because he actually developed alopecia due to stress. He lost all his lovely hair, but he came back, luckily. Yeah. Many people tend to not have it ever grow back, and that's quite sad. But yeah, when you met Kevin, were you aware of his laid back way?
Oh yes, it was very easy going. Nothing seemed to be a problem. He always was happy to see people. One of the things I did remember about Kevin was his quiet way of being. When he spoke to you, he wasn't agitated or fast. It was just a quiet way of being and talking. So you always felt quite comfortable. Yeah,
and he worked hard to retain that, because obviously when you're managing a place with many different conditions with people, and the stress of the pressure from people higher up, to carry out a service where your resources are cut and you're stretched, he always retained that. I do remember a discussion with him one day, and this was at the time when I was struggling, where Kevin suggested that I try St John's wort, which is a natural herbal remedy for stress. And I remember saying to him, when you take this stuff, Kev, is it okay if you take it with alcohol? Because I'm finding that alcohol is probably the best stress reliever. And he said, well, I do, Harry, and it works for me. And I always remember that, because we laughed about that. And obviously, we're not advocating that people drink alcohol with remedies for stress. But it works. So it's entirely up to you. And there's disclaimer, I'm not, if you do end up in a coma, it's not my fault.
Don't.
One of the questions I'd like to ask is, Lucy, you remember Kevin. I don't think you were totally certain where you remember him from, but most people who come into learn disability services would actually have gone through probably Carlton Road or Cavendish House which is another place that Kevin worked. Do you remember where it was you came across them, Lucy?
Carlton Road.
So did you actually attend Carlton Road as part of the day service?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did Jacqueline go at that time?
I don't really know.
Yeah, because I'm not quite sure if Jacqueline knew Lucy, Nigel. Mention when you... Because I don't even know if Jackie knows.
I don't think so, no, she hasn't.
Because Kev and I worked quite closely with Jack when she was going through
I don't think he's mentioned it, no.
No, but he was instrumental along with myself in getting her back on track again, because she really did hit a massive slump, which Nigel obviously knows all about. And, you know, she will be sad when she hears it, you already know. So, Carlton Road, do you remember much about Carlton Road, Lucy? There's many people there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There's often bedlam in the kitchen. It didn't matter what was going on in the kitchen. You know, it was almost like he'd walked into a Star Wars pub where all these people are going off on one, and Kev would just wander in and cup of H. Yeah, go on, Kev. And things being thrown at the ceiling and cups, tables going over. I don't do that. It's coffee, H or tea. You know, nothing ever appeared to faze them. One of the good things about that is, and it's important within those kinds of environments, is that you do retain that way, because if everybody went the same way, nobody could control the situation. So someone has to say, right, okay, I'm going to remain calm and we'll sort this out. And he always did. You know, he became a challenging behaviour paramedic. You know, if someone was kicking off, where's Kev? You know, and I remember a number of times when I was with him when he was trying to de-escalate someone, is that lovely, nice, soft brogue where he would bring someone down. And even if this person was trying to attack him, he still retained it. You know, and I always remember that. I think we kind of, you know, we worked in a similar way, I like to think. But we both had slightly different ways of looking at it. So, Lucy, do you remember anybody else who worked at Carlton Road with Kev? It was a bit of a vague memory for you. Julie, yeah, me Julie. You remember Julie?
I know Julie, yeah.
I think Julie used to bring people across sometimes to the courses we were running.
Yeah.
So you've got some recollection then of Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah? It's a big loss, isn't it? Do you remember how nice he was with you?
Yeah.
Always had time, didn't he? For people. And I like that, you know, it adds to a building. You know, the no hierarchy. You know, the people who are in the service, such as, you know, Gary or Lucy or Nigel, you know, you don't expect to be treated as a commodity. You expect to be treated as an equal. You know, and not be told to wait because you're in the middle of something massively important. You would explain to the person why, you know, you can't see them right now. And that was one thing Kev always did. He always made a point of saying, well, I can't do it right now, but I'll see you at such and such over a cuppa. He always found the time to do that. And this is sometimes in the middle of an alleged stressful meeting with people who thought they were important. You know, that Kevin didn't really have a lot of time for. He believed that there's too many people in suits, too many managers, too many layers of management. Were forgetting about the people that had come in the service. That was something else as well that I admired about him. You know, because I like to think that's more important to me than my status or my alleged status. So, just to open up a bit, Nigel, you remember Kev?
Yeah, I do remember Kev, yeah. I haven't seen him for a while. I didn't see him for a while.
No, that was something that saddened me, because you always, and Dave will know this, you always assume you're going to see people again. You have this little kind of thing in your head where you think, oh yeah, well, I'll catch up at some point. And, you know, you maybe don't pick the phone up, you maybe don't pop in for a cuppa, you know, you've got too many other things going on, and then they're gone. And you can't do it anymore. And I'm the same as you, Nigel. Yeah, I hadn't seen them for quite a while. But they always say they're good friends. You don't see them for a long time, but then you can pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
You know, the qualities are still there.
Yeah.
So what are your memories of Kev, Nigel?
She's laid back, done. Wait, laid back, yeah. Sorry.
He actually said to me one day, And I always remember he was in the garden at the museum where we were running some of these courses. And he said, you know something, Harry? He said, sometimes you're so laid back, I sometimes think you're dead. I said, what? You need to talk? I said, I think you are dead. I said, nothing ever phases you. Well, yeah, I suppose not. No. But you're the same. And we had this discussion about being the best laid-back person. Sorry, Nigel.
Also, uncle.
Anything else you remember about Kev?
They stopped to talk to you. I saw him kissing one day. This is a bit ago now. Down by the, where is it? So down by the lake.
Mm-hmm.
He was going down, and I was coming back up because we just went for a walk. And we stopped outside the where the park is. Stopped outside the park, and I had a crack for about 5 minutes. And it was good that way. He stopped and talked.
So do you think that's important then? Because unfortunately there's many people that work within social care that once that door's closed and they've gone home, that they don't feel as though there should be any connection with the people in the service. Do you think that's important, that if you bump into someone that's a manager, that they spend the time, a few minutes just passing the time of day, to make you feel as though you're welcome?
Yeah.
And Kevin always did that because he actually invited you across for a cuppa whenever you felt like popping over.
Yeah, I did. I remember that. I was at time to go down. It was always cup of tea.
Yeah, he wasn't your archetypal.
No, he wasn't. No.
Manager.
Nope.
He didn't get off on the status. What he had to manage were the people within his service to give them the best service he could.
Yeah.
That's what he managed. He never got off on the title of manager. He would always, like with Nigel, if Nigel popped across, it wouldn't be an issue because he hadn't invited him. He would welcome him in. He wouldn't, who said you such and such, there'd be none of that. And that's massive, that, Nigel, isn't it? Because I know you have had problem with that in the past where, we've talked about interactions and you feel as though you're not actually valued. But Kevin did.
Yeah, he did
didn't
value.
Yeah.
Why do you think that's important, David? This is David, by the way. David's come along today with Gary. It'd be nice if David can give his opinion on the value of people like Kevin in social care. David didn't know Kevin, but David's got the same qualities, similar qualities to Kevin. The kind of way of being that would make people feel comfortable and valued and welcomed. So why do you think that's important, David? Sorry to drag you into the podcast. David's sitting there thinking, I'm going to be involved in this podcast. Why do you think it's important to have people like that within social care, Dave? And how is it crucial for clients that work in that service?
I think it's sort of helps them to know when you meet them out of where you work with them, to know that they're not different. You can't say, I'm not talking to you, I'm not on shift. Yeah.
And that word different, it's crucial, because there's a lot of people that actually do think that they are different, and when actually they aren't.
No, it's just, as I said, just to make them, whatever normal is, like if you saw a friend, you would go up to them and say, hi, what have you been up to, blah, 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 and then same as though you meet one of the people that you support, and just ask them the same question.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's all important to them, and, like they realise that you don't ignore them. No, so I think that's good in anybody that can do that. Then.
Do you think that your way of working, and obviously Kev's way of working, I like to think that we work that way as well, it should be something that's disseminated, passed on to other people that come to work in social care, that it isn't about you, it's about just being yourself, doing the best you can, and making sure that when you're working with people, they have the best day they could possibly have.
Yeah, I mean, that's what my actually sort of thing is in life. At the end of the day, we wouldn't be here because of them. To say them, that's maybe the wrong word.
Well, no, I don't think. Yeah, I mean that's something else as well. I think it's crept into social care.
Yeah.
It's the political correctness. You know, words like they and them are quite normal. You know, and don't let's get into what normal is, because we could be here for quite a long time. But I think we've created a situation now where and we've mentioned this before in previous podcasts. I'll come back in a minute, Dave, where we elevate people to be better than us. When actually, and you know, Dave highlights this when he comes with Gary. This is about two people being together, having the best day they can, respecting each other, valuing each other's company. It's not about watching what you say and watching what you do, you know, because when you stick a lot of that on people, you know, when support workers are told, oh, you can't do that, oh, you can't do that, that's not creating a therapeutic relationship with the individual. You know, what you've got with Gary now, Dave, is what you've both built up together. And that's crucial, isn't it? You know, okay, you've got to protect clients, and we know that, you've got to safeguard them, but you've also got to get on with them as well. You know, we create these boundaries, these barriers that people are frightened to get over. A bit like confidentiality.
It's confidential.
Did I mention that? And by the way, listeners, David's wearing a yellow t-shirt today. It's so bright, I've now got cataracts.
Yeah, and I forgot my sunglasses.
I've got mine if you want them.
Maybe David can highlight what that yellow t-shirt actually signifies.
Wigan Warriors, champions.
I thought it was.
Yeah, just to brighten a dull.
The dull day.
Still do that.
A dull deal.
Well, the sun's just shining, so your t-shirt
Yeah,
does.
from the shining. So where I go, the sun follows.
Well, one of the things that I mentioned earlier in the podcast that Dave just highlighted there is that when you meet people, even though that person's not really feeling so good and they're maybe not having a massively good day, just one smile, you know, or asking how you are, genuinely asking how you are, can really set the theme for the day.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can only do that in social care and wear a yellow t-shirt with Warriors on,
You can get away with that.
you can get away with anything. Thanks for that, David. I really appreciate that. Sorry I mentioned the t-shirt, but I like bright colours. I used to like Benetton.
Yeah, I like
Remember the
bright
Benetton colours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Now I'm well known for wearing yellow. I'm well known for wearing pink
Yeah.
shorts in a mountain race. The only one wearing a bright pair of shorts was me. There's a picture on my Facebook page if you want to go on to see if that's correct. And I'm proud of wearing bright colours.
Yeah.
I don't think pink should be for women and what's for men? Blue. Black, yeah.
Actually, I don't wear pink very often and normally wear blue.
Pink to make the boys wink.
I've got two sort of salmon pink sort of t-shirts.
Well, I like that colour.
Quite nice.
I've got a rock climbing t-shirt still in my drawer. It's fallen apart, which me and my lads bought in the rock climbing shop in Kesey, which I think's still there. Needle Sports. I think it's moved. And I love it. Salmony coloured pink. And I was proud to walk around in it.
Yeah.
We haven't. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, we're just going back to that podcast. At the end of the day, I think my biggest achievement is when I leave, and if I'm going to see Gary, they always come in to see when I go.
Oh yeah.
And if I get a nice smile, we always touch hands to say, you had a good day, yeah, that's my day sorted.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know if Gary's had a good day, or anybody else that I'm supporting, if they've had a good day, I've had a good day. And I feel as though I've done my job. And I think if other people in our
Profession.
profession, you know, like can have that attitude, I think we'll go a long way.
Absolutely.
I know it isn't always as simple as that. It isn't as black and white. I know there is rules to be, to be sort of kept up with and that. I said, but like doing it in actually like a proper way. It isn't like them and us. It's like you together.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree, David. Well put.
Yeah.
I think as well, going back to the rules, because I mentioned earlier in the podcast, you can tie people up, so you'll never get that therapeutic relationship. rules are there quite clearly, especially the safeguarding. You know, you wouldn't be swearing at clients, you wouldn't be beating them up, you wouldn't be abusing them. We all know that. But you also have to allow for that flexibility within that rule structure, so that people can build that relationship.
Yeah.
And David mentioned there towards the end just that, and I used to always have this with Gary. I always wanted to make a point of catching him before I went. It was important to me that he was okay before I went home.
Yeah.
You know, and again, if you can only get that part right and disseminate that through other people coming in, then you know you're not far wrong, really, are you?
No.
And we would expect that ourselves if the tables were turned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I wouldn't want to be sitting waiting for the next support worker to come on who isn't like that, and I don't want to work with them.
No.
You know, that's not nice. I would hate that.
Yeah.
And you know, Gary, you've probably experienced that over the years. But if you know David's coming on shift, you know you're going to have a good day. You know, even if you're not feeling good. You know, and I always said this, that especially the past couple of years for Gary, where there's so much been going on for him, it's even more crucial that you watch the way you actually are when you meet Gary, you know, and how you are with Gary. And this is not putting Gary on a pedestal, it's just respecting how he's feeling.
Just respect.
And I think, sorry, go on, David.
I was going to say, like, down the years, I haven't been doing this line of work for a great length of time, and I'm still learning the thing, I think, like anybody else. But I've seen too many people, a person's come up to them and then they've held their hand up about a yard from the personal space, don't come here.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that doesn't, I don't know.
There's no room for that. There's no room for that in social care. I understand.
I said maybe that's their way that they deal with it, but I can't say. I mean, again, confidentiality, no names, but I used to be associated with a lad, and his condition, his mouth was always runny, his nose was always runny, and he loved a hug, and I wasn't going to refuse him. You just found a way to hug him without being close to his face, and he was over the moon. But I've seen him be rejected, and the look on his face, he was horrible. Like.
Yeah,
ways, you know, I mean, he just sort
yes, I mean that is an area which I've always been quite cavalier about, Dave. And you know, I mean, you could stay with your boundaries forever, but you're never going to get that therapeutic relationship, because people that live lonely lives do need a certain amount of input when it comes to a little bit of TLC. You know, if it means a little hug or even just a touch on the hand or whatever. You know, don't wrap that up with abuse and sexual exploitation, stuff like that. We all know about that. But just that human touch between two people. You know, and that you know, eventually it might be that Gary sets the guidelines for that, and you work with that. You know, Gary never used to hug.
No.
You know, now Gary looks for a hug. You know, why shouldn't Gary have a hug off his mates? You know,
just like ourselves.
Well, absolutely, yeah. You know, and I'm not going to turn. I mean, Nigel had a situation. Just mention this while we're on about this, and this would be something that Kev would see as a heinous crime. We'd gone to a meal, and an individual who shall remain nameless, obviously. He, when in parting, we all were saying goodbye to each other. Nigel went to shake his hand, the same as he'd shook my hand, and he went like that. No. Now, this is a member of staff that works with people with vulnerable adults. Now, where'd you go with that one? You know, now that's an example of sticking to the rules, but it also might mean also as well you've got an issue with the people you're working with. I didn't pursue that. You know, I was going to pursue it, but hey, you know, it's gone now. But there's no room for that in social care, no whatsoever. And also, going back to what I was saying before there, where I interjected with Dave, I do still see social care as a profession. It is not just a dumping ground for people who can't get a job, which is what it's become. You know, and we've diluted it so much now that that's exactly what it's seen as. And it isn't, it's a profession. You know, I would see your skills you developed working with Gary as professional skills that you've gained through bringing part of yourself in, but also understanding how Gary works, you know, and that for me is a professional skill set, and there's no going back from that, you know. So when you do eventually retire, Dave, your legacy will be that's what you brought to social care.
No.
And we need more people like that, going back to Kev. And I think it's important that we retain people like that.
Yeah.
And we don't crush them with rules and confidentiality and all the rest of it. I can't even say it properly now. You know, we embrace people who bring those skills in.
Yeah.
You know, and your background was in mechanics, wasn't it? You know, and you've come into this now, and you brought the human part of, you know, yourself into it. It's become a skill base.
Yeah.
And I think more people need to listen and learn from people like yourself.
Yeah.
It's crucial.
It isn't just about reading a book. He does this, and he likes this, he doesn't like this, or this person does this, does that. It's just, to me, a book, he's just there for a guide.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe them pages were written months ago, years ago,
Yeah.
and everything moves on. It's just a matter of finding out, you know, the actual person, the individuals,
Absolutely.
and then actually sort of going on from there. At the end of the day, they are people, they are persons, and their life is like as much as important as ours.
Absolutely. Well put, David.
There's no difference.
And there's your guide.
Yeah.
You know,
And,
I mean, okay, Gary's file was written up quite some time ago, and yeah, there are fundamentals in there which are crucial for Gary, and Gary was part of that as well. But like Dave said quite rightly, is that things move on, things change, people change, and you know, I'm a big believer in persistently updating care plans, you know, with the client, if the client's got that cognition, rather than putting something in, that's how Gary is, and that's everybody who comes in to work with Gary is still like that, you know, and then probably Gary spends loads of time trying to disentangle that when actually, you know, people should see that if they work properly with them. So I think, although we went off slightly, it's still important, because that's what Kevin brought to social care, just the same as the things David's brought to social care. I'll miss him. It's going to be, you know, a much less vibrant profession with him gone. But I like to think that the legacy that he's left, you know, many people will have learned from that. Many of his colleagues, and they will pass that on to other people. Because he did get between the client and the system. You know, he persistently did that just for the betterment of the client, not for himself. But just to make sure that people had a legacy, a blueprint to follow when he'd gone, you know, and he has left a quite clear blueprint. He's definitely left it on you know, on me, and Nigel remembers, you know, Lucy, you know, remembers Kev as well. Gary didn't know Kevin, but you'd have loved him to bits, Gary.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you were under his jurisdiction, in his service, and Dave was working with you, you know, you'd have a ball. You know, David wouldn't think twice about going to Kev to just run something past him. Sorted out there and then, you know. Gary would have been brought into it. There'd been no leaving Gary out while you just sat in a room discussing them, you know, stuff like that, which I've got no time for. Confidentiality. So, Kev, whatever you are, with your rollie,
and his ponytail.
and your ponytail, I wish you well and thanks for everything. And that's
well
all right.
said,
Thank you, David.
I didn't actually know the person. But he sounds an ideal person.
Absolutely, and he'll be sadly missed. Thanks for the input, Dave. I really appreciate that. Gary, have you got any words before we wrap this up? You've heard a little bit about Kev. You didn't know him. You did do a bit of work with Raymond as well at Cab House. Do you think we need more people like that within social care, running social care?
Kevin, I used to work with women.
Yeah. So do you remember him now?
I think I've seen a little bits of him.
Yeah, because I think most people have come across in some way, shape or form, because we've all kind of crossed paths in different ways. So I just mentioned there about the kind of qualities that people have like Kev within social care. Do you think we need more people like that within social care to make things better for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, and
I think Gary would have loved Kev to bits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dead laid back. Oh yeah, a few DVDs, all right, guys. Get a few more on there. Get a few more videos in. Anyhow, I think David's input today has been massive, and I think that's because he's connected with the picture I drew of the person who was passed on, Kev. Who's got the same qualities as David. So I really appreciate that, David. Any parting shots, Trey, on this podcast?
I mean, actually, I kind of like, sadly, I didn't know him as well as yourself. I didn't have a chance, really, to see him and work with him. But it would be really nice if his legacy does live on and that people pick up where he left off. So it wasn't just him working that way. I'd like to think his team will carry that on, that way of being. That would be good.
Yeah.
He was well respected by his team. He took them through a number of difficult periods. You know, each individual, they had difficult times in their own private lives, and he always supported them.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for them, you know, because it'll be a much more lonely place with them gone. In fact, you know, I was thinking the other day there, you know, about going into Carlton Road to see them, you know, but I'm not quite sure emotionally whether I could do it. You know, because it was always a place that I went to where, you know, it was vibrant, and now it'd be like going to a place that's lost its heart and soul. So, I mean, I may well go in at some point, but at the moment I'm not quite sure that I've got the emotional capacity to do that. I'm going to put a card in. I'm going to wait until he's probably he's gone now anyway, and drop the card in. But yeah, I'd like to think that his team would push that on.
Yeah, definitely.
Once they get themselves together, you know, get over the loss. Well, they'll probably never go over the loss, but just to get back again, that will. Yeah, I like to think that anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because social care's on its knees, you know, and it needs people like that to lift it up.
No, definitely needs good people.
So, thanks everybody. So, is that a wrap?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks. I'd like you to check that out. If you've got any thoughts on any points you brought up about social care and the value of people like Kevin, please feel free to comment. As I mentioned in previous podcasts, we only like positive comments. Anything negative we'll totally ignore. And that's a wrap.